Look at verse 24. But as the church is subject to Christ, so also the wives ought to be to their husbands in everything. Whew. Now, this verse has scared a lot of people over the years. Does it really mean a wife has to affirm the leadership of her husband in everything? Well, this is where we got to step back and we have to say, look, this is an analogy, but analogies, if you press them too far, they start to break down. Because there's a key difference between Christ and husbands. Christ is sinless and perfect. Husbands are not. Wives are not supposed to submit to abuse or to a sin. No authority on earth is an absolute authority, certainly not a husband's authority. All authority comes from God, and all authority derives from Him, and no authority that He gives does He ever call on or tell that authority to coerce sin. So when submitting to a husband requires someone to submit to abuse or to sin, the Christian wife must follow the example of Peter and the apostles in Acts chapter 5 and verse 29 when they said, we must obey God rather than men. So she shouldn't submit to that. So the question then becomes, if we have that qualification up front, then why does Paul use this expansive language in everything? Because Paul really does intend for wives to model how the church relates to Christ. This doesn't mean that a wife has no opinion or deliberation with her husband. It does mean that there's a happy deference that is pervasive in everything that she does. So in my own marriage, this doesn't mean that it's always easy for my wife to do this. It certainly doesn't mean that I'm always right. If she were here, she would say, amen. But right or wrong, she always aims to support my leadership.